are now listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
General Task 1. Your 22-minute crash course starts now. My name is Ben Worthington. I've been doing IELTS for way too long. I've been doing it for a long time, probably over 12 years now. And I used to be a general English teacher. Now I just I quickly made the switch to IELTS, the best. Why? Because we can find the best students in IELTS. These are motivated students. These are competent students, ambitious students who go and get goals and go places to Canada, to get a permanent residency. IELTS students change the family story, the generational family story. I mean, maybe you don't even settle in Canada, but the mere fact that you went there and you stayed for a couple of years, that's going to have such an impact on your thinking, your mentality, when you go back to your own country. Anyway, let's jump into General Task 1. I got a little bit distracted there. First of all, we look at, by the way, this whole outline, this very quick crash course is based off all the contents in the General Task 1 course we have at IELTSPodcast.com. I just looked at the curriculum and I was like, right, that's enough material there, more than enough to make a quick 20-minute tutorial all about high-level skills. So if you find that you're struggling with some of the skills I'm mentioning, if you go to our IELTSPodcast.com site, you'll be able to see you'll be able to see the courses there, and you'll be able to get the tutorials, and you'll be able to get the course with all the modules, and in each module we go into much more detail, and it's extremely practical. Let's jump into it. Lesson 1, the structure. Now, when we are planning our IELTS General Task 1 letter, we should be using the bullet points given to us. Doing this will make sure that you are basically answering everything that they ask for. No, you don't have to go into massive detail for each one. A couple of sentences, about 3 or 4 sentences roughly for each bullet point. You know, if it's asking, I'm not going to go into detail, but just a few sentences for each point, and using the actual question for your structure will make sure that you do get the exact, that you get as close to possible for maximum points regarding task response. Now, it's that simple. I'm not even going to talk more about it. There's no need. Number 2, the phrases. Right, this one, if it is a letter to maybe a teacher, a professor, a job, like a request for work, or a job application, or a formal letter to a company, to an organization, then we definitely need to start it off with Dear Sir or Madam. Okay, unless we've got some more detail from the question, but very roughly, if it's formal, Dear Sir or Madam, comma. I'm writing in relation to the job advert. I'm writing to explain my interest in. I'm writing to request an apology. I'm writing to ask for a refund. Using that set structure gets you off to the right start. Now, then, if it is formal, we probably want to include phrases such as however, therefore, furthermore, in addition, just to connect our ideas. Whereas, if we're writing a letter to a friend, then we probably don't need however, therefore, and furthermore. We could just say and, yeah? And I'd like to see some of the best sites your city has to offer. Please let me know which ones we could do and what time frame, and in what time frame. Okay, for example. Also, we can use, if it's a letter to a friend, then we can almost write we can write closer to how we speak, i.e. we can use contractions. However, we're not going to make it so informal, like it was an absolute banging weekend. Okay, that's too informal. Okay, and likewise, if it's somewhere in between, for example, to a work colleague, we have to write a letter or an email or a message to a work colleague, then we can use something it's neutral. And this we're still going to use contractions, but we're not going to use exclamations. We're not going to use phrases like "see you later" or "hugs and kisses." It's not going to be like that. So it's going to be in between the very formal end, which is like a job application, and the very informal where it says "write a letter to a friend." Okay. And as I said, just make sure it's not too informal, as I just mentioned. Formal versus informal. You need to get clear as to who you are writing to. I kind of just spilled over there because it was linked. The phrases we use is linked to whether it's formal or informal, so I'm not going to go into this much detail. Exercises. How do you improve? Well, you can use our AI essay checking tool to give you feedback. You can look at formal letter writing online and review. Like I've said in other tutorials, you can find a perfect letter. Make sure it's absolutely perfect. Make sure it's published on a trusted source such as IELTS Podcast. You can just go to IELTSPodcast.com, sample letter, sample general task 1 letter, and you'll see lots of perfect examples there. You can also just put Cambridge English letter writing samples, and you're going to get some more samples there. And what you do is just look, cover, write. Look at the sentence, write it out. Look at it, cover it up, write it out from memory. If it's too difficult, just write it out word for word, copying. As I said before, doing this a few times, for each IELTS prep session that you've scheduled, will help you improve. And it's just a very quick, cost-effective way to improve. You can also get feedback from tutors. Send your essay in to us. We'll correct it. At the moment, you can send in your essay or your report or your letter. For $9, we'll manually look it over and give you feedback. If you're in a hurry, use the AI essay checking tool. Even something as simple as Google Docs will give you some feedback. It's not specialized in IELTS, of course, so you're not going to get your score. You're not going to get more detailed feedback, but it will help you with your grammar. Phrases. Now, this is the key part for General Task 1, especially the formal letter. We need to include phrases such as yours sincerely when we're ending, or yours faithfully, depending on the letter. We also need to use set copy-paste phrases, I call them. And it's like, please find attached my CV for more details. Please find attached the document. Please let me know at the best possible time. Just copy-paste phrases that we find over and over again in letter writing, and writing in relation to, and writing with regards to. All of these phrases are just essential for you to memorize. I'm not a massive fan of memorization, but for these, you absolutely do need to memorize them. Let's go into a little bit more detail about these phrases. We can say, I'm writing to inform you, I'm writing to request. I wish to bring to your attention the pothole in our road. I wish to bring to your attention the rude behavior of your customer service representatives on July 5th, 2024. I'm writing in response to an advert I saw. I'm pleased to inform you that. Okay? Again, if we're writing a reply, we can say, in response to your recent inquiry, as discussed in our previous conversation. Again, if we're writing for a job interview, a job application, please find attached my CV. Please find enclosed my resume. Now, if you're using resume, make sure that most of your all your other vocabulary is American if you've got that opportunity to choose between two. Okay? For example, Attached, because in British English we use CV, in American English they use resume. Attached, you will find a brief overview of my skills. Attached, you will find my CV or my resume. I would like to highlight that I'm incredibly motivated. I would like to highlight that I have the relevant experience regarding the job advert. Okay, making a request. We should use our modal verbs here. Could you please send me the required information before November, for example? I would appreciate it if you could send the relevant information. I kindly request that you reply as soon as possible, as this matter is urgent. Please let me know if you're available to work on September the 3rd, whatever. Okay? Again, if we're offering assistance, we can say, if you require any further information, please do not hesitate to contact me. I am at your disposal should you need any further assistance. That's a great sentence there, because we've got inversion and we've put should in slightly uncommon place. Okay, we used it instead of saying you should. It's just the normal standard way. We've inverted it and we say, should you need any further assistance? And it's incredibly polite. Should you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Using these structures will help you score higher. Next one, expressing gratitude or appreciation. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I appreciate your prompt response. That's a great one because it's incredibly versatile. Thank you for your time and consideration. I mean, a personal one that I do is thank you in advance. Okay, if I'm requesting for some information, if I'm requesting a refund, I just say thank you in advance. Just sets the tone. It's incredibly polite. And it sets like an assumption that I'm going to be thanking them. It sets an assumption that they've done the work and I'm thanking them already. Gets things moving. Closing salutations. Yours sincerely, if you know the recipient's name. Yours faithfully, if you do not know their name. So if you started off with dear sir or madam, then you're going to end with yours sincerely. If you started off with dear Mr. Jones, then you're going to end with yours faithfully. Best regards, kind regards, yours sincerely, or just sincerely. Again, if it's a neutral one, an email to a colleague, we'll say best regards or kind regards. If it's a letter to a friend, we could use best regards or kind regards. I would personally use take care and wishing you the best, because it's just slightly more informal, because that's how we would write to a friend. Also, just one more point. When we start this letter, whether it's informal or formal, we will say dear or hi, and then insert dear sir or madam, yours faithfully, or even just start it off to whom it may concern. Now, the important thing here is comma, blank space, and then indentation, which means just a small space for the first word. It goes in slightly further to the right than normal. Normally it should be flush left to the margin, but for letters we just start off with a space and then start. I am writing with regards to. Right, that's it for today's tutorial. A very brief one. I honestly believe that General Task 1 is probably one of the easier tasks among IELTS Task 2 or Academic Task 1. Slightly easier because we can rely on the phrases. We don't have to argue. We just follow the bullet points, write a few sentences. Relatively straightforward. However, having said that, I would still recommend getting feedback and just making a list of your errors, making a list of your mistakes, and just following the standard process we teach at IELTS Podcast, which is, we focus on we break it down to the smallest parts. We master those tiny parts, and then move on to the next bit. We get the basics, and it's far easier to learn this way. Secondly, we're noting our improvements, we're noting our errors, and we're keeping track of them, and we're focusing on them and just making small incremental improvements, unless you've already got the language skills, in which case in most situations, you just need a framework and the exam skills, which are far quicker to acquire. Anyway, this is the beauty of getting feedback. I mean, the AI essay checker is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but obviously you're going to get more valuable feedback with a manual essay correction, because the tutor will be able to tell you, okay, your language skills are solid, focus on the exam skills, and the AI just isn't there yet. Probably is in a couple of years, but we'll just have to wait until it's at that level. And if you're wondering whether it's exam or language skills you need to work on, best way to do that is just to get feedback. You can do that at IELTSPodcast.com. And again, you can sign up to our newsletter. You'll get tutorials in your inbox. You'll get a tutorial on how to get the most out of not a tutorial, you get a whole course on how to get the most out of the essay checking tool we have on our site. As I said before, smart students nowadays are using tools rather than just information. So that's it from me today. If you got some value from this tutorial, please share it. We don't charge for these tutorials. We give them out for free. It'd be a nice way to just say thank you by sharing it and spreading the word, and we can help more students get that IELTS band 7, 8 or 9 or even 6.5 in some cases. Whatever your goal is, you probably will be able to achieve it just by doing some focused work, getting organized, setting up a routine, as I say in most of my tutorials. That's it from me today. Good luck with your IELTS exam, and I'm wishing you all the best.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.